Hey everybody, I'm Jason Salas. So good to see you on this Thursday afternoon, about an hour before lunchtime, so we got a lot to get you up to speed on what's happening on the island. Let's go.
The menu, brought to you by King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and Ruby Tuesday Guam, home of the Fresh Garden Bar.
On your show of shows today, a body found in Talampago in January this year has been identified and a pair of arrests have been made in connection to the death. New GDOE teachers are getting ready for the upcoming school year. Also, today is Coast Guard Day, and we're also going to have another installment of Candidate Conversations. Well, as we reported yesterday on social media during a press conference Wednesday with GPD, it was announced that arrests were made in connection to the human remains found earlier this year in Talampago. Hannah Devanzo broke the story for us and has more in this report.
After months of investigating the human remains found in Talampago off Route 10 back in January, detectives from the Criminal Investigations Section have identified the victim with the help of two distinct tattoos on the man's body. Chief of the Guam Police Department, Stephen Ignacio.
Detectives believe the victim to be Stevie George Alvarez Villanueva of Jigo.
As KUAM News reported, the Guam Fire Department responded to a report of a trash fire and came across the burnt human remains. In connection to the homicide, two individuals were arrested and detained at the Department of Corrections.
Detectives have identified persons responsible for the murder and actions related to this heinous crime. They are identified as Manny Sablan Murciano Jr., Mel Chamorro, born in 1991. And Robert Isaac Revels, male Caucasian, born in 1980.
Murciano Jr. was arrested for the offenses of
murder, aggravated assault, use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony, reckless conduct, discharge of a firearm, purchase or possess use of a firearm without a valid firearms ID, destruction of evidence, disinterring of a corpse, and conspiracy.
As for Revels, he was arrested for conspiracy, guilt established by complicity, destruction of evidence, and disinterring of a corpse. Detectives expect the possible motive for the homicide to be drug-related.
There's a debt owed by the victim, and two, there's an indication that there may have been an argument between the victim and the suspect regarding a female individual.
According to Chief Ignacio, based on a background check, they discovered they had previous run-ins with the victim. The case remains open and the arrest was forwarded to the Attorney General's office for prosecution.
The president signed an executive order today aimed at protecting abortion rights for the second time since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. That ruling has triggered restrictions and near bans on a procedure in at least 12 states. Here is the very latest. Well, we also want to tell you that the president's executive action calls for possible Medicaid waivers to cover services for women who travel out of state for care, and it comes exactly a day after citizens in Kansas voted to uphold state constitutional rights on abortion. With the very latest from Capitol Hill is Natalie Brand with CBS. And in other Guam news, Guam is expected to get a cut of some $6.6 billion in national opioid settlements to help address opioid crises. Attorney General Levin Camacho is part of a bipartisan coalition of attorneys general announcing the settlements this week with former opioid maker Allergan and Teva Pharmaceuticals. The former is expected to pay up to $2.7 billion to participating states, territories, and local governments, including Guam. Teva is expected itself to shell out more than $4 billion. In the coming weeks, the AG Rights will be meeting with the Opioid Advisory Council to talk about how these funds will most effectively help those struggling with addiction. Elsewhere, 10 veterinarians from Taiwan have arrived on island to help with the island's stray dog and cats issue. Daniel Perez has more in this report.
It's an event 2 years in the making as 10 volunteer veterinarians from Taiwan's National Chung Sing University have arrived on Guam to help with the Spay and Neuter Island Pets program. The SNP Community Clinic kickoff will be held at the Mong Mong Totu Mighty Mayor's office from August 4th to the 15th and will only be open on weekdays. Territorial veterinarian Dr. Mariana Turner.
To be able to have all of these veterinarians come in and get a head start on everything is really going to be phenomenal to help us actually make that difference right out the gate. So their plan is to do 400 animals with their 8 surgery days. That's 50 pets a day. So it's going to be quite a phenomenal task, but it's really going to knock down that waiting list.
The 10 volunteer veterinarians are from Taiwan's National Chung-Sing University, and they're led by Dr. Pin Chen Liu. Dr. Turner detailed how experienced the 10 volunteer veterinarians are.
Some of them are actually faculty members there, which is really great because we have, veterinary true professionals that are teaching other professionals. And then we do have some less experienced veterinarians that are really looking to expand their knowledge, and they're really there to support the faculty so that they're learning with as much hands-on as possible.
In addition to the 10 off-island veterinarians, local veterinarians will also be helping out with the SNP program. Spay and neutering services will also be provided at the Dr. Lynn Rollerson Spay and Neuter Clinic at the Guam Animals in Need Shelter for 4 to 5 days per week. The volunteer veterinarians will also spend 2 weeks conducting free spaying and neutering services with the Mayor's Council of Guam. Those interested in the spay and neuter services can fill out an interest form at snipclinicguam.com. For more info, contact the SNP program at snip@guamanimals.org. Daniel Perez reporting for KUAM News.
To matters of island education now. After nearly 7 decades and thousands of student graduates, San Vicente Catholic School in Barrigada will be shut down for good. That decision was made following a severe drop in student enrollment. Here is Archdiocese spokesman Tony Diaz with the latest.
It's a really sad day, not just for San Vicente and not just for our Catholic community, but our community in general, because many people have grown up or know people who went to San Vicente. Really, there's no recourse but to close the school, because as everyone knows, the heart and soul of a school, a private school, as far as operations and sustenance, is the tuition.
Last year, they had 107 students, which was already considered low. This year's enrollment, even with the last-minute push from an alumni group, was just over 40. And Diaz says in one kindergarten class, there was only 1 student. He says the difficult economic times played a major factor.
Our superintendent, Father Val Rodriguez, made it a point to talk to each parent of students that indicated they were leaving, even after last school year. And many of them said, Father, it's just the hard times, we can't keep up.
Some were also moving to other villages, and Diaz says the Catholic school system itself was scrambling to find administrators to run the school. The CSS is reaching out to help accommodate students at other schools.
We thank all the families and the students and the supporters and alumni for their patience, and we grieve with them. This is a time of grieving. But we also know, as a church, our Lord takes care of us, as he's been taking care of our entire island and, in fact, the world.
For KUAM News, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Now, Nestor also adds that spokesperson Diaz does not know what will become of the Barrigada property and whether it may be liquidated as part of the ongoing clergy abuse bankruptcy case. For the time being, San Vicente alumni spokesperson Senator Frank Blas Jr. said that they believe that any solution they could have come up with would be, quote, all for naught, because the decision was made prior to our involvement, end quote. In regional business news, Marianas Southern Airways has an official flight plan for its inaugural takeoff. They're officially booking flights from August 12th for Saipan to Tinian, August 15th from Saipan to Rota, and August 20th from Saipan to our island. The initial launch dates were delayed due to some international shipping complications, with the new airline planning to launch over 90 weekly flights within the NMI, including flights to and from Guam. They will compete with Star Marianas, which provides the only inter-island commercial air travel to and from Saipan, Tinian, and Rota. CNMI Governor Ralph Torres says that this is the type of business that is needed in the CNMI to provide better airlines, better services, more competitive services, and hopefully, he says, a cheaper price. He also said he hopes this will allow other airlines to see the CNMI as a potential investment and profitable investment to bring in more airlines to better the economy. He also hopes it's opportunity for the people and reliable transportation. Back here at home, Coast Guard Day is today, and it's celebrated every year on August 4th since its founding of the branch of the military in 1790. KUAM News reached out to Coast Guard Forces Micronesia Sector Guam and Station Apra Harbor to present to our viewers the missions of the Coast Guard and how their members save lives and protect the environment on land and sea. Joan Ugan-Charfis reports.
Coast Guard Day is recognized every August 4th. It's a day when the United States Coast Guard was founded and celebrates and honors the courageous work of its service members. Captain Nick Simmons is a commander for the United States Coast Guard Forces Micronesia, Sector Guam.
There's 5 main hats that we talk about wearing in the Coast Guard as a sector commander. It includes search and rescue, captain of the port, so managing the port of Apra Harbor, officer in charge of marine inspections, so vessel inspections, things like that, marine environmental response, really kind of the main primary missions of the Coast Guard.
There are 11 missions of the Coast Guard and 10 are done on Guam. The area of responsibility for the United States Coast Guard on Guam is nearly 1.9 million square miles, which includes the waters off of Guam, the CNMI, and the FSM. It is the responsibility of the United States Coast Guard fast response cutters to provide search and rescue, fisheries enforcement, drug interdiction, and waterways safety and security in these areas. Lieutenant Freddie Hofschneider is a commanding officer of the Oliver Henry, one of 3 fast response cutters here on Guam.
I think having these platforms here now, we're really extending our capabilities across not only Guam and the CNMI and FSM and Palau, but we're reaching further out in Oceania to really strengthen our partnership with a lot of those nations that are out here, partner island nations. It's also making sure that we're able to respond to anything that's happening out there, including search and rescue cases that happen all throughout Micronesia.
The Coast Guard has a reserve component, local members who also take part in maritime safety, security, national defense, and the protection of natural resources. These members are semper paratus, or always ready, when called to deploy to other regions in response to natural disasters, humanitarian aid, or terrorism. Captain Josie Heron is a senior reserve officer for District 14 of the Coast Guard.
It is really amazing, and I am so impressed, first with Guam and also just with the Coast Guard family that's here. 100% of our reservists are local members from Guam, and they bring the community in as well as share it with the rest of the Coast Guard members here. And it really, truly is incredible.
The Coast Guard Reserve Force is not only a great career path, but it's an opportunity to give back and serve our country. Senior Chief Kevin Riley.
The Coast Guard Reserve Force here on Guam is truly diverse. We're comprised of local men and women, many who also serve in public and private sector professions such as firefighting, law enforcement, public utilities, and communications. Our job here is to augment our active duty counterparts while also maintaining readiness to deploy to Coast Guard missions around the world.
Viva Coast Guard Day, Guam!
Reporting for KUAM News, I'm Jonah Goncharfis.
All right, we are going to get to candidate conversations after this commercial break, but I want to read something first that a good friend of ours sent me today about an interview we did earlier this week. Of course, Andy Wheeler worked with us for many, many years. I had him on Zoom on the HotSpot earlier. He sent me a message on WhatsApp today, and he goes, "Bro, I've had a lot of people reach out about kidney stuff." His words exactly. "Thanks for allowing me to help them in any way that I can." So again, so many of you were reaching out to Andy, sent him DMs on Instagram and on Twitter. He was giving you his handles about the fact that he actually had a successful kidney transplant surgery, and now he is making his life's work to help people who are in the same position that he was. So thank you, all of you, for your kind words, your prayers, your support for Andy. He and his family, his beautiful wife, and his kids really, really sincerely appreciate it. So thank you for that. All right, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we continue with our Candidate Conversation series, introducing you to those who want to serve you in the forthcoming 37th Guam Legislature. Up first, Democrat Dave Duenas. That's coming up after this.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Got a question about your finances? You've come to the right place. Bring all your accounts together, even those that aren't with us, and see the big picture, right down to the smallest detail. Unlock powerful tools like Insights and Money Map that help you save time and take control of your finances. When you connect accounts with the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app, it all starts with yes.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
The KUAM Care Force, along with partners Guam Animals in Need and the Boonifly Project, are asking you to join NBC Universal in their nationwide effort to clear the shelters this August. We're encouraging our community to get involved, donate to these organizations, and adopt and foster pets to help our growing stray animal population on Guam. For the 8th consecutive year, NBC is raising awareness and funds in their local communities to support animal welfare. Since its inception in 2015, Clear the Shelters has helped more than 700,000 pets find new homes. Join us all August long for live reports on KUAM News HotSpot and Primetime, special news series, My Pet's Story, a weekly series on KUAM Digital showcasing heartwarming stories of pets who found loving homes, weekly posts on KUAM social media platforms featuring pets in need of homes. Let's do our part to clear the shelters and support animals in need.
Lunches, snacks, we got diapers for baby girl. Oh, 7:15, we gotta go. Bread, milk, gas for work. Remember to grab Joe Boy a birthday present. Half a day.
Hey, Molly, how much do you pay for daycare for the kids?
Over $600 a month. It's expensive.
Did you hear about the governor's program that covers up to $675 a month for childcare?
Wow, that would be a lifesaver with the rising cost of everything.
Check guamchildcare.com to apply. We qualified. I even booked an appointment for someone to walk me through the process.
guamchildcare.com. Okay, thanks. I'll apply today.
This ad is paid for with federal funds administered by DPHSS.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the hub on KUAM News Hotspot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
We continue candidate conversations as we do every Tuesday and Thursday here on the Hotspot, and it is my honor to actually introduce you to several Guamanians who are on the ballot, both Democrat and Republican, for the Guam legislative race. They want to serve you as your senators, so they are joining me now on the KUAM couch and telling you about their platforms, who they are, and why they want to nobly and honorably serve you, everybody. And as they say, you know, the only thing certain in life is change, but one thing is guaranteed. Each and every time there is a senatorial election, the gentleman joining me now on the KUAM couch is part of that, and running once again, Dave Duenas. Dave, half a day.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Very good to see you. Good morning. And, you know, you and I were talking during commercial break. This is at least the 5th time that you have run.
Yes.
And
yes.
you keep chugging away. So, I mean, persistence is virtuous.
I'm not a quitter.
Exactly.
I will keep doing it. Well, this might be my last. I'm getting up in age now, and I don't want to be a
you're only
sitting
26.
Thank you. Thank you. But anyway, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I heard you were supposed to have another guest, but unfortunately she's not here.
Well, Speaker Therese Terlahi is coming up after you. So, yeah. And I've heard, I mean, this is unofficial. I have to check with my friends at the Guam Election Commission. If you run for a 6th time, maybe in 2 years, you get a set of steak knives.
You get what?
You get a set of steak knives, perhaps.
I was hoping you said you get a free slot in the legislature.
Well, hopefully you will make it into the legislature this time.
I've ran a few times, and this time around, I think I got a good chance.
All right.
Of course, there's 21 Democrats running right now.
Well, tell you what, Dave, why don't you look into that camera, and we'll give you 60 seconds to tell people about yourself and your platform and why you are running this time.
Hi, Hapaday. I'm Dave Duenas. Hapaday, buenas, mabuhay. When I was out in the break room, I was saying, how do you say good morning in Korean and Chinese? Anyway, but good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with Jason. And once again, I'm Dave Duenas, number 15 on the ballot, Democrat. There's 21 senatorial candidates on the Democrat side of the slate. So 6 of us are not going to go through to the general, but I'm hoping with your confidence and confidence in me, I'll make it to the general. I've been a resident of Guam for a long time.
You've seen a few things.
Yes, I've been around. I've done a few things. I'm very active in the community, in many aspects in the community. I help out with PBS. I'm one of the longest volunteers for PBS Guam. I've done coastal cleanups. I initiated the Guam International Coastal Cleanup. And so anyway, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing some of your responses, because we've had the pleasure of covering you and the various projects you're involved with. I'd like to get into some of those as we tackle these, but you have 60 seconds for each of these responses, and we'll start right off with the bio that you posted to KUAM.com. It indicates there one of your prime missions, should you be elected, is to reduce the business privilege tax to 4%. Keyword immediately.
Yes.
All right. How precisely do you want to get that done with the immediate factor?
Well, with the immediate factor, whether it be myself to write the bill, the main thing is you got to get the other 14 to come on board. Otherwise, it ain't going anywhere. So my job, should I be elected into the 37th, is to introduce that bill to reduce the business privilege tax to 4%. And, the argument, and you hear it all the time from the government side, is they already reduced it for a lot of the small businesses. I wanted it to be across the board. Across the board. I don't care if you're making over 500,000 or what have you. And you hear, again, I hear a lot of it. I get criticized about that. That if you reduce the business privilege tax, that would reduce the revenues to Gov Guam. I said, fine. Gov Guam is already too big as it is, and they need to learn to live within their means. So do more with less, basically. So, yeah, that is definitely what I want to do immediately. And again, introduce the bill and get the other senators on board, and we'll get it done.
That is an interesting counter argument, Dave, because should Gov Guam revenues be impacted that way, you believe that we can live in a lean way? And would this be a long-term solution or something with a lot of permanence to it, or is this just kind of like a tourniquet or a stopgap solution?
Well, it would be as time goes on, if the economy recovers to a level that would allow the business privilege tax to go back up to 5%. So be it. And there's also an argument that if they reduce it, that the prices at your local stores won't go down. I said, well, I got an answer for that as well. If we reduce it, and the local stores, from the mom and pop all the way to your big stores, if they don't reduce it, we as the legislature can always re-implement it. And is that kind of sticking it to the businesses, saying, yes, you should reduce the price. But then again, do more with less. I'm not worried about Gov Guam.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, very well, fair enough. Okay, second question, Dave. The other issue on your bio that you aspire to work on if elected is reducing the cost of fuel. That's been a huge point of contention for, going on maybe 3 months now. The speaker, who's coming on later on in the show, of course, crafted legislation to do just that, but
Correct.
Maybe on a more short-term level. So what do you propose to achieve to help everybody with our pocketbooks further down the road?
As you mentioned, I provided a bio, and that was part of my platform to reduce the BPT and to repeal and/or terminate the liquid fuel tax. The government says the liquid fuel tax was designed to generate revenue so we can fix secondary roads and other things. Mass transit, I believe, was one of them as well. I didn't see any fixing of the roads, especially the secondary roads in all the different villages. And so, I want to repeal it completely, the liquid fuel tax. We'll find
repeal as in eliminate thoroughly?
Eliminate it,
okay.
yes.
Just get rid of, wipe it off the face of the earth, basically.
And on my bio, as it stipulates already, this was printed, by the way, since January. So some of the current legislators have introduced, and we now are seeing a break in the liquid fuel tax for, 5 months or?
Yeah, I believe 5 months.
Yeah.
So, and they're calling it relief.
Yes.
You're looking for
yes.
for a more permanent, again,
Correct.
A more permanent solution,
Correct.
like for all time, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Have you had an audience, Dave, with any of the businesses or any of the current senators about this idea?
Yeah, they all know about it. I'm very vocal. Matter of fact, I think you know, I also do a little bit of radio still.
Sure.
And I'm very vocal when I do my shows.
Your
and,
voice would actually give that away. You got those.
Yeah,
you got that really good radio voice.
Yeah, I mention it all the time. I said, you know, this is my opinion, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. And I've always said reduce the business privilege tax and the fuel tax. And I know the arguments that the government's going to make. The government always want the money, but that's fine. But KUAM has been bloated for decades over it. The government is just too big.
So trimming the fat, basically.
Basically.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
And do more with less. You know, you get less revenues in because of that, reducing the BPT and or the liquid fuel tax. Fine. Work with what you got.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, Dave. Third question. You certainly don't want to come off as you appeal to the community here. By no means you want to market yourself as like a one-trick pony, or like if I get these things done in the first 30 days, now what, right? So you want to be a little bit more cosmopolitan, and you don't want to just hang your hat on cost reductions, right, to earn people's votes.
Sure.
So would you share with us, if you would, Dave, your opinions, ideas for other lingering issues our community faces, like like healthcare, like education, public safety, or things like that?
Public safety. I'm glad. I'm a big advocate of public safety. You've heard it before. Are we safe? No, we're not. Very, very clear, evident. You read turn on the news, read the paper. There's crime every single day, and the reason why I believe the criminals are not afraid to commit the crime, knowing that they're either going to get book and release, get a plea deal, or get a light sentence. So we need to send the right message to these criminals, because right now they are not deterred at all. Blatantly, they'll just rob your house with you in it, But we need to send the right message, and that goes towards the Attorney General and the judicial system.
So stricter enforcement and harsher punishment, I'm assuming.
Definitely.
Okay,
definitely.
Gotcha. All right, very well said. Okay, Dave, final question. There has been a slight dip, multiple media have reported this nationally, in the amount of young people that are enlisting for military service. As a veteran of the Air Force yourself, what guidance would you give to ensure that our military always has, able-bodied, willing people that want to defend our nation and serve?
Well, here in Guam, as you know, we're very famous for per capita having more enlistment.
Highest in the country, I believe.
That's correct.
For a long time.
But in line with that and tying it in with crime, you remember Jajabati?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he had a program where if you committed a crime, he gave you an option. I'll either put you in jail or join the military.
Yep.
And hey, what better way? I'm joining the military. And a lot of our residents did. And some of them made a career out of it and retired. Some of them just did their enlistment and got out. But I think we need to implement something like that again.
Interesting concept. That was very, very popular, like around the 70s. Right?
Yes, you either do the time or join the military.
Yeah.
Your choice.
You fulfill some civic obligations.
Yes,
so.
And the military life, regardless of what branch you decide to enlist in, I enlist, of course, in the Air Force, but Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, they're all good.
Space Force now, too.
That too, yes.
The new one.
Yeah, you get to travel and might even meet a wife.
There you go. A bonus to serving in the military. So that's Dave Duenas again. Dave, you said number 15 on the ballot?
15.
15 on the Democrat side of the ballot. Dave, a pleasure as always to see you, sir.
Thank
and
you.
We wish you and your family congratulations on running once again, and we wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, we'll see you on the campaign trail.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, please stay tuned, because when HotSpot returns, none other than the Speaker herself, the Honorable Therese Terlahi, joins us on the KUAM couch for the next installment of Candidate Conversation. Don't go away.
Get up-to-the-minute news, plus access to alerts, streaming radio, promotions, and more on your mobile device by downloading the KUAM News mobile app, available at the App Store now.
There's epic, then there's ultra epic. Capture life in vivid resolution with Galaxy's most advanced camera system and the built-in S Pen. that puts you in control. Every moment, every angle, from sunrise to sundown and beyond. More striking, more stunning than ever. Find the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra at your nearest iTunes store or online at ite.net and change the way you work and play.
Lunches, snacks, we got diapers for baby girl. Oh, 7:15, we gotta go. Bread, milk, gas for work. Remember to grab Joe Boy a birthday present. Half a day.
Hey, Molly, how much do you pay for daycare for the kids?
Over $600 a month. It's expensive.
Did you hear about the governor's program that covers up to $675 a month for childcare?
Wow, that would be a lifesaver with the rising cost of everything.
Check guamchildcare.com to apply. We qualified. I even booked an appointment for someone to walk me through the process.
guamchildcare.com. Okay, thanks. I'll apply today.
This ad is paid for with federal funds administered by DPHSS.
Say hello to the first Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Want a better look at your spending? With Money Map, you can automatically create budgets and manage where your money is going. Know when you have a green light or when it's time to slow down. Maybe cook more meals at home this week. Set your goals, track your progress, and find your way to exactly where you want to be. With Money Map from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. It all starts with yes.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
The KUAM Care Force, along with partners Guam Animals in Need and the Booneyfly Project, are asking you to join NBC Universal in their nationwide effort to clear the shelters this August. We're encouraging our community to get involved, donate to these organizations, and adopt and foster pets to help our growing stray animal population on Guam. For the 8th consecutive year, NBC is raising awareness and funds in their local communities to support animal welfare. Since its inception in 2015, Clear the Shelters has helped more than 700,000 pets find new homes. Join us all August long for live reports on KUAM News Hotspot and Primetime, special news series, My Pet's Story, a weekly series on KUAM Digital showcasing heartwarming stories of pets who found loving homes. Weekly posts on KUAM social media platforms featuring pets in need of homes. Let's do our part to clear the shelters and support animals in need.
Welcome back to the Hotspot, everybody. As I said, and as you probably saw during that commercial break, the one and only Speaker of the Legislature, the Honorable Therese Torlahi, joins me now for candidate conversations on the KUAM couch. Buenas, Speaker.
Buenas.
Very
Jason.
Good to see you.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. You're always welcome here. Literally, this is only the second time I've seen you in the entire pandemic era. I remember I saw you once for Colonel Scambaluri's funeral. We were both showing up to the Ayana Heights Church, and now here we are. And yet we talk to you like every day when we were doing like the link.
Yeah, it was. I appreciate that opportunity to keep everybody informed during.
Those were fun. Okay, yeah. I must say, before we get into all like the pomp and circumstance of political stuff, you shared with me one time on the link the funniest story about the legislature I've ever heard, about the history of the legislature, right? Can you please tell, like, very briefly our audience about the ice cream machine that used to be in the legislature?
No.
Well, basically, there used to be one.
Yeah, Speaker Parkinson was like a gourmet ice cream connoisseur, and he brought in a fancy ice cream machine back then that I had never seen the likes of before. It was a big thing, and they had it in the caucus room, and so they were providing soft serve. It was soft serve ice cream to everyone at the time.
That is a part of Guam. Okay, everybody at Guampedia watching right now and everything, you guys got to add that to your wiki listings and everything, because that is amazing.
So I served as legislative counsel for about 27 years, and that I think really they enjoyed it. And of course, having snacks helps with people who have to put in very long hours.
Sure, a full crew is a happy crew.
Yes.
Okay, and real quick, what's your favorite type of soft serve ice cream?
Oh, I like the mocha down at Ipen Mobile.
Oh,
yes.
Hey.
Yes.
See, when you're the speaker, you can do that. I'm vanilla, and that probably says a lot about my personality. I'm as plain as they can be. So, but certainly you have a long list of accomplishments, and we'd like to give you 60 seconds to tell the community about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you. So I've been serving. This is my third term in the Guam legislature. Currently as a speaker. I'm a lawyer by profession, a graduate of UCLA Law. I've pretty much represented families, small businesses, veterans, Manamco, trying to assist them, of course, in their time of need on a one-by-one basis. I ran for office because I think, and particularly with this pandemic, it's really exacerbated the need for health care, the need to ensure that our government resources are being prioritized to help families deal with the cost of living on Guam, to create opportunities for young people on Guam to want to stay on Guam. And that's really one of the things I want, or we continue to work with in general. But I think, I've been an advocate for protecting of our land resources and our environment. I've stiffened environmental penalties. I've also ensured that we are going to have transparency in the government. I think when the people know what is going on in the government, they are going to be able to help us come up with the solutions. And I think everybody being involved, our community being involved in that is really the way to go.
Absolutely, very well said. And you've said that many, many times, Madam Speaker. The people's government should not be run like a black box where you have no idea what's going on inside. So kudos to that. All right, I'd like to begin with our Q&A portion now, and you have 60 seconds for each of these responses. First one right off the bat, what have the last 2.5 years taught you personally about leadership? Pro or con, it's totally up to you.
Well, pro or con, I would say pros. I think, again, keeping everyone informed as much as possible is one of the strategies that I use to try to just make sure that, there are as few surprises as possible, because in this line of work, there's a surprise every day. And so,
especially during the pandemic.
As much of that I can prevent, I like to try to do that, to try to keep my colleagues informed. I think fairness is absolutely probably number one. I think if you just treat everyone fairly, everyone gets an equal opportunity to debate, everyone gets an equal opportunity to put bills in and to have those addressed, then that also, stems off, hard feelings and impediments to working together. And so, of course, it's challenging, right? We're dealing with 15 people with very strong opinions, and rightly so, and trying to bring an entire community along with, of course, very differing views.
I remember when you got elected in the 2020 election, I don't know if you remember this, but we were reading a comment that came on Facebook while you were on our show, and it said, the one thing I really appreciate about Senator Terlai is she treats everyone like family. So I think your point about fairness is very well stated.
Thank you.
Are we blushing?
Well, you know what? Yeah, I do feel like that. It's kind of like, because this work is challenging, and almost every day I have to recommit to, who do you love? Do you love the people of Guam, and are you willing to do this? It's a sacrifice, putting yourself out there and doing things that you're not really, I didn't grow up to be a public person. I'm a super private person. But I really believe that if I can contribute, I am going to do that. And I feel like I've got some good years still left in me, and I'm very motivated to continue to do that.
Very well said. All right, so you touched on some of the issues that you've overseen and some of maybe the fights that you've had to fight as speaker. Among them, medical arbitration, the spending or not spending, depending how you look at it, of the American Rescue Plan funding, the new hospital, historic preservation, Agent Orange, the list goes on and on. More recently, gas price relief, right? Which of these issues that you've dealt with during your speakership tend to linger in your mind to this day, and which of those keeps you up at night?
Oh boy, Jason, I think you hit on all the ones that keep me up at night, because
all of the above.
Yes.
Answer E.
This is one of the things. It's very hard to turn it off, right? And I'm really, of course, you've got to keep balance in your life. But these issues, they're long-standing. They impact every family. This is the thing, and you can't just turn your back and go to sleep when every family is being impacted. That's, that's the reality. So of course, I'm I'm very much concerned that we have a large percentage of Guam living in poverty. I think.
And you've said that many times too.
We have a small community here, and we must lift each other up. We must. And
that's kind of our dirty little secret that no one really wants to ever talk about.
Yeah, and a lot of those are children.
Yeah.
So I think my work with the, trying to improve quality of life, and my work trying to ensure that children are protected is probably number one.
All right, very well said. All right, Senator, let's go back a few years, and I remember the day after you were elected for the first time, and again, you served as legislative legal counsel for a while, but the day after you were elected for the first time, you were about to become a freshman senator, and former Speaker B.J. Cruz basically introduced you to us in the media as, the heir apparent, right? I remember that distinctly.
I don't remember that well.
But in turn, how have you taken steps to mentor, younger senators and policymakers who are just getting into the business of making public policy?
Well, I'm always open to discussion. I think, the more we have, the better. I think the rules are a big part of, you've got to know those in order to operate down there. And so I think that's one of my biggest contributions, is because I'm a stickler for rules, that I've very much given a speed education on rules to newcoming senators, and make sure that they use them, and as much as they can. And I don't know. I think fairness, again, is really critical, and I think equal opportunity is big. This is where, we've got 15 senators representing an entire population of Guam. In order for the people of Guam to be represented, each of these senators has got to have their equal opportunity.
Very well. And something I know you touched on that, the rules of governance is, I know when my dad was elected for the first time, and also former Lieutenant Governor Kaleo Moylan, when he was elected as a freshman, they both said they went out to Bestseller Bookstore, bought a copy of Robert's Rules of Order, and read the whole thing cover to cover twice. They wanted to make sure they had every single procedure down pat. So very well. Okay, Speaker, we've all learned a ton, again, both probably good and bad, about shifting public hearings and government forums over to Zoom in the last 2 years. We had no choice, but given that experience and knowing, the good experiences and the bad experience we've all had for that, the fact that you can actually broadcast to the entire world, but the fact that we all can't be in the same room, has this given you any inspiration about future innovations for running other government services?
Oh, of course, absolutely. I've always been a big proponent of technology that makes it convenient, right? So the good thing about Zoom is it's convenient for those who want to testify, who can't physically make it, or or would be running in between schedules. It prevents them from having to wait long. But there are times when we want to see their faces, and it's very important that we see each other in a room. It's like juries. You want them in person. You want them to see the witnesses. And I think it's important that our colleagues see as much as possible, in person, the realities, and you see their real faces of the people of Guam. So, I like both. But when it comes to government agencies, I absolutely, for example, land management, when they had shut down during the pandemic, I talked to the director, and we made sure that they opened back up, that they allowed electronic access, that we've got grants now to improve their electronic access of land management records for all the people of Guam.
Right.
Yes, and that should be done at every level, permitting everywhere.
Right? I remember one of those first legislative sessions, I guess you will, when the pandemic first happened. It was former Senator Will Castro who actually joined in his car, and all of you guys were even laughing, hey, Will, what are you doing? But I mean, it made that possible, and I think that is the greater good, right?
Right. So so we had senators who could not be in person because of illness, so that helps. Yeah. We have an organic act that prohibits us from voting except for in person, though.
And yourself too, Speaker, if you don't mind me sharing. When you came down with COVID, you actually had it pretty badly, but you were able to participate in some of the legislative functions on Zoom.
Yes, so not in the sessions, but in the public hearings.
There you go.
And in some interviews, because I was doing well at that time, right? But it's challenging. The second round of COVID has really hit people really hard.
Yeah. Okay. Final question, Madam Speaker. We have 7 seats up for grab in the 37th legislature, right? If my math is correct, right? As a centerpiece and leader of the legislative body, what would you say are the optimal qualities of an effective senator on Guam? What are the key characteristics?
Number one, you must dedicate your time to this job. I really think that's important. You cannot have two masters. Put the 2 years that you're going to serve into this job, put everything you've got into it. Give the people of Guam everything that they deserve. Dig deep into the issues. Read everything you can. Become a mini expert on every topic that you're going to vote on, because those are going to impact every household on Guam. And when we're having that kind of an impact, I think we have that kind of responsibility to take matters seriously, to know everything that we can know and learn what we don't know, and bring in experts that we need, and to listen. And I think that's maybe number 2. Listen. You have to listen. You have to be willing to listen, open to listening. I get a lot of criticism, even straight to my face, out in, you know, social events, and it used to really throw me off. I'm trying to get used to that, but I actually welcome it. You know, I feel like if this is what I'm going to do, then I love that. I love to be told.
It's part of the gig, right?
Yes, straight out, exactly what people are thinking, and I think you get some really good ideas that way as well.
And okay, before I let you go, Senator, I just had a thought. Has there ever been a female senator, and of course this current legislature is the first time we've had a majority of women serving as senators, which is absolutely fantastic.
Actually, last term we had 10.
Well, last term, yeah, thank you. Has there ever been a sitting senator who has been expecting a child while she was a senator? Because like you said, I mean, it's a job that's very, very taxing. It's a lot of sacrifice required. I can't remember.
I can't remember one, but I'm sure they are absolutely capable of doing that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Never challenge a Guam women, because they're going to get that job done.
They will get that. And
toughest women on the planet are right here.
Having children and being parents are one of the biggest motivating factors that I've seen. And I think that's what we all have in common, or a lot of us have in common down there, is that we're parents. So we want better opportunities for all the children of Guam, you know, because we can see it directly that schools are limited, things are, you know, cost of living is forcing families to leave island. We don't want that, and so I like, that parents are very highly motivated for public service because of that.
Very well done. Well, Madam Speaker, that's all the time we have, and that's all the questions I have. So, you know, on behalf of the people of Guam, thank you for your service to the community and for giving it all you've got, and for listening, and we wish you the very best as you seek re-election once again.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you for always giving us an opportunity to share what we're thinking and what we're working on, and
talk about ice cream in the old school legislature.
Yes, and thank you to the people of Guam. I really appreciate your support, your ideas, your encouragement, and looking forward to your support. And I'm number 2 on the ballot.
There you go.
Please help.
All right, so the one and only, the Honorable Therese Terlahi, the Speaker of the 36th Guam Legislature. We will be right back with more on the Hotspot when we return.
Say hello to the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. Want a better look at your spending? With MoneyMap, you can automatically create budgets and manage where your money is going. Know when you have a green light, or when it's time to slow down. Maybe cook more meals at home this week. Set your goals, track your progress, and find your way to exactly where you want to be with MoneyMap from the First Hawaiian Bank mobile app. It all starts with yes.
This year, we're expanding our Decision 2022 platform to include comprehensive coverage of the election in the Northern Marianas. Stay with KUAM News for candidate conversations on Pacific matters, interviews with the gubernatorial teams, coverage of debates and forums, and live coverage on the general election night. We're your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
The KUAM Care Force, along with partners Guam Animals in Need and the Boonifly Project, are asking you to join NBC Universal in their nationwide effort to clear the shelters this August. We're encouraging our community to get involved, donate to these organizations, and adopt and foster pets to help our growing stray animal population on Guam. For the 8th consecutive year, NBC is raising awareness and funds in their local communities to support animal welfare. Since its inception in 2015, Clear the Shelters has helped more than 700,000 pets find new homes. Join us all August long for live reports on KUAM News Hotspot and Primetime, special news series, My Pet's Story, a weekly series on KUAM Digital showcasing heartwarming stories of pets who found loving homes, weekly posts on KUAM social media platforms featuring pets in need of homes. Let's do our part to clear the shelters and support animals in need.
As the Decision 2022 race shapes up, keep it with KUAM News for all the news you need to know as you head to the polls. From weekly candidate profile analysis on the Hub on KUAM News HotSpot to our online candidate directory on KUAM.com, special features on KUAM Digital and KUAM News Primetime, plus live coverage of forums and debates. We're your one-stop source on every platform. Stay informed with KUAM News, your news leader, the voice of the Marianas.
There's epic, then there's ultra epic. Capture life in vivid resolution with Galaxy's most advanced camera system and the built-in S Pen that puts you in control. Every moment, every angle, from sunrise to sundown and beyond. More striking, more stunning than ever. Find the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra at your nearest iTunes store or online at ite.net and change the way you work and play.
Welcome back, my friends, to your Thursday edition of the Hotspot. Since June, Apugan Village condo residents in Agana Heights have been tormented by an unwelcome outsider who keeps climbing into their patios and breaking away. Here's more.
Apugan Villa Condos on Francisco Javier Avenue in Agana Heights has always been a safe and close-knit community where everybody knows each other. Over the last couple of months, they've witnessed the same intruder jumping over their walls and onto their patios. According to one resident, Vanji Kabakar, the perpetrator hasn't stolen anything, but his visits are scaring them.
Everyone's turning on their lights at night. You know, it seems like we're having to adjust our lifestyle because of this perpetrator. So we're spending more money keeping all the lights on at night. Everyone's buying security devices or some kind of contraption to make sure our back doors are secured, and cameras and whatnot.
Mayor of Agana Heights, Paul McDonald, said the individual depicted in the surveillance footage doesn't appear to be an Agana Heights resident. The footage shows the man inside of a tenant's patio and then fleeing after being confronted by a worker. During one of his unwelcome drop-ins, he shattered a among other things.
He went up to one of the residents, the front of her unit, and ripped off the camera. She confronted him in the camera and he smiled and ripped it off.
Due to his frequent visits, some tenants have stopped sitting outside.
It seems like we're having to adjust our lifestyle around this perpetrator. One person who shows up in our cameras frequently, and something needs to be done.
Kabakar has a message for the unwanted visitor and anyone else attempting to create havoc in their complex.
Perpetrators should know they come to Apugan Villa neighborhood, they're the ones who are being watched. So we have enough footage and camera pictures and videos, and so we're watching.
If you recognize the man in the footage, you're urged to contact the Guam Police Department at 671-475-8615.
All right, real quick, everybody, before we go to our next story. Dave Duenas, of course, was on the show, the Democrat candidate for senator, and he is actually taking your comments right now. He's jumped into the comment stream on Facebook Live. So if you guys want to interact with Dave, talk about the platform that he was referencing earlier in the show, please do so. He is answering your questions right now. Thanks, Dave. All right, moving on. The Guam Department of Education's new teacher training seminar is on its first day with its second cohort. Here's Daniel Perez once again with details on what educators are learning in preparation for the upcoming school year.
With the upcoming school year just a week away, the Guam Department of Education is prepping its new teachers by having them take part in the new teacher training seminar. District mentor and organizer of the seminar, Christina Adicade, gave KUAM the rundown of the new teachers training.
We've done classroom management. We're talking about lesson planning and taking a different kind of approach to that, what we call a backward design for lesson planning, where we think about the end first so that we know how to map how to get there. Then we're spending a big chunk of time on the grading that we will be doing, which is standard-based, tiered grading, which is a little bit new to just all of us in the system. Lastly, we'll be concentrating on engaging activities for the students. Again, those activities that will really get the kids to react and engage with the content that we're giving them, where they're really taking some of that learning into their own hands as well.
Incoming kindergarten teacher Rhea J. Carino shared her excitement in being able to mold minds and attitudes this coming school year.
I'm excited to be able to share with them my knowledge of what I learned in school and
just to help them get through their first year at a campus, especially after the pandemic and being home all the time. They get to learn how to socialize with other students, and we get to learn together about what they're going to be learning out throughout the school year.
Since Carreño came out of GDOE's student teaching program, she's confident she'll be able to teach and guide the incoming kindergartners this year.
To the parents of my future students, that I hope that we can communicate well and keep an open communication, and that I'm going to be learning a lot about your kids and yourselves, and I hope that we have a great year together.
Daniel Perez reporting for KUAM News.
All right, thanks so much, Daniel. Now it's time for the final segment of this episode of HotSpot. Now, you know, everybody, I was born and raised in Dedido, but Tumon is my kind of town. And that is where we're headed for this week's installment of Properties in the Tropics.
Properties in the Tropics is presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
Greetings and half a day. I'm Luana Simmons.
And I'm Paul Pandapak.
Welcome to another episode of
Properties in the Tropics.
On today's episode, we will be exploring Tumon, the center of Guam's tourism industry. The village of Tumon is located on the northwest coast of Tumon Bay. The area boasts in hotels, shopping centers, restaurants, water parks, nightlife, and other unique attractions for residents and visitors.
Investor alert, can you say prime real estate? Fronting the Tumon Strip on Pali San Vitores Road, this beautiful lot offers a vast amount of development opportunities with water and power lines nearby. Lots L10 and L11 comprises of 4,006 square meters in a zone open to offices, hotels, restaurants, tourism-related shops, dwellings, zoos, cultural and recreational facilities, amusement activities, and supportive services. This property has stunning scenic views of paradise, which is also an extra bonus.
Outstanding agents.
Outstanding results.
That's us.
Looking to rent, invest, buy, or sell? Call us today to start now. I'm Paul Pandapak.
And I'm Luana Simmons with RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
We'd like to thank you for watching this week's episode.
Tune in next week to watch another episode of Properties in the Tropics.
Properties in the Tropics is presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
I have got no more pieces of paper, which means we have no more show for you. And we really enjoyed bringing you today's episode, and we hope you out there watching on whatever platform you're checking us out really enjoyed it. So, it's about lunchtime, so please, speaking of Tumon, head down to Tumon, spend some money, and you know, if you're in Tumon, make sure to head over to the Westin if you would like to vote early, because of course our friends at the Guam Election Commission are getting it done there. So if you want to vote, consider Dave, consider Speaker Therese, consider any of the candidates we've had on Candidate Conversations. The Westin will set you up. All right, lunchtime is upon us, so we are going to head out. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you tonight for Primetime. Bye, everybody.